explaining modernity better, I want to back up a little bit to week 8 when we had this video by an amazing nun called Sister Wendy. And I find it kind of hilariously ironic and wonderful that Sister Wendy is going to tell us about how Picasso scandalized everybody with representations of prostitutes. It's super short, and it's a terrific example of how modernism disrupts, scandalizes, shocks, surprises, and recreates things. So if you want to think about Their Eyes Are Watching God and modernism, try to give a go here at this quiz and at the short Sister Wendy video. In this discussion, I really goofed up because really these two videos don't speak to the questions of modernity. So I'm going to switch this and update it. And hopefully we can all revisit this conversation because it's relevant to some of the topics we're talking about this week. That said, I need to do a better job defining things like negritude and modernism because they are key concepts in Their Eyes Are Watching God. So the way to do that is to go to the library and click databases. When you click on databases, you'll get A to Z. I used Black Studies Center to find this definition of negritude, which I think you might find useful regardless of the kind of project you want to do for your second project. So Aimé Césaire, a Caribbean intellectual, took inspiration from Countee Cullen, Langston Hughes, Claude McKay to come up with this idea, along with Leopold Sédar Senghor of Senegal and Leon Damas of Ghana, rejecting the notion that people of African descent do not have a history or a culture prior to colonization. In the essay about Patricia Hill Collins and Black sexual politics, I talk about how colonization tells a story of gender roles and sexuality that specifically controls Black women in particular ways. It's interesting that this entry about negritude doesn't credit Zora Neale Hurston's work, because if anyone laid the groundwork for negritude, challenging the idea that people of African descent have a history and a culture prior to colonization, and that it in fact lives on through the Harlem Renaissance, it's Zora Neale Hurston. But that's that. So let's think about Zora Neale Hurston as a negritude artist, even though they don't give her credit, because she is challenging the notion that people of African descent do not have a history or a culture. She is locating and celebrating a culture that comes from African descent and experience in the diaspora, the dispersal of Africans throughout the world. To connect negritude to modernism, we go back